Since 2004, every Halloween weekend, a Saw film has come out. The first was a great film. The second was okay. The third was good. It juggled a lot near the end, but it had creative traps. It was good. The fourth was crap for the most part. The fifth was really light. The story really didn't progress at all, but had good flashbacks. The story was good that it had. It was pretty good. It was good. The sixth was awesome. The seventh, the movie that I saw about an hour and a half ago, is terrible. The final installment to a series that has a very large fan base that I include myself in, I say, yeah, sure, I'm a fan, is by far the worst. This movie is awful, and I'm talking to you fans. You're going to go out and see this movie anyway. Are you going to like it? I sure as God hope not. You're not a fan. Seriously, this movie is terrible on every level. Why do we love Saw? The traps are awesome. Okay, the traps suck. They're boring. They're not creative at all. Fourth one, it's stupid, but the traps were cool. They were creative. These traps are boring. Pull a fish hook out of a girl's mouth to find the key and unlock it. Cool. Pull your teeth out. I saw that in Jackass 3D. It was cooler there. Walk on planks of wood. Gymnastics? And what story is driving all this? The Saw films, all the traps usually progress a story. We have 6 films to work off, people, and the depth that we have is this Hoffman guy, you know, Detective Hoffman, Jigsaw's apprentice, is trying to kill his wife for the sake of revenge. That is it? That is all this man has going for him after 6 films of this evolving story. The final sequence, the trailer says it all. All of my work comes down to this. Alright, it comes down to finding the woman and killing her. Cool! Let's throw in some new characters, of course, played by actors that cannot act to save their life if their wife was hung by the boobies. What is wrong here? Like, what is... If you've seen the other Saw films, you would probably agree that through the past 6 films, we have not seen the best performances by some of these actors. Some of the performances, I will admit, were pretty horrible, but I've never seen it this bad before, and it was overwhelming. It seemed like every actor in here, like, got together and was like, okay, let's mess up this movie. Now, there are 2 pretty cool traps. And they're the first 2 traps in the film. Unfortunately, I can't like them too much because they had absolutely 0 relevance to the story. You just want to introduce, you know, that he's still alive, just have some fun, sure. But the second one, it just felt randomly thrown in there. Like they inserted it in the film strip randomly. Now, if you don't like the other Saw films, I have no idea why you would see this movie anyway, but I'm just telling you straight up, don't! It's an awful movie. If you do like the Saw films, you're probably going to see it anyway, but I'll say it anyways. Don't! It's an awful movie! Yes, I saw it in 3D. It has 3D in the title. I love that. Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4, Saw 5, Saw 6, Saw 3D. Let's not call it Saw 7. We have to advertise the fact that it's featured in 3D in some theaters in the freaking title. What is it if you see it in 2D? Is it really called Saw 3D 2D? Because that's what the theater said when I was at. I could either see Saw 3D or I could see Saw 3D 2D. Was the 3D cool? Not really! Saw films, trap-wise, always surprisingly had a consistency of being somewhat realistic. I know there are some exceptions there, some big exceptions, but it never really felt goofy. It never really felt too fake. But when you have really fake-looking blood coming right at you for the sake of 3D, it really kills that effect, and it just comes off as stupid. The Saw films have always been fun and creative, and I don't mean to sound like sinister here. I like watching people die, but trap-wise, they always took themselves seriously. It wasn't goofy like it comes off in this movie. A lot of women die in this movie. Like, seriously. Like, a lot of women. I mean, I think 1 guy died in this movie. But for some reason, I haven't made it clear. You don't need to see this movie. I'm a huge fan. I have to see the final film. Don't see it. You are supporting a movie that raped a franchise that you love. Why would you do that? Watch it online for free. I never say that, but if you really want to know what happens, watch it online for free, or listen to me right now. Spoilers! I don't know if I want to give this away. Alright, I'm not going to give it away, but there is a twist. Just like all Saw films, there's a twist at the end. Was this twist good? It could have been good. It was probably one of the better parts of the movie, but it's a terrible movie, so it's not saying much to begin with. But it's a very undeveloped twist, and although it is kind of cool, you know, at every Saw film it goes back to flashbacks and you piece everything together and you go, oh my gosh, it all makes sense now. There wasn't really any of that. It was just kind of like, that was in there this entire time, and that's cool. It's a good twist, but there wasn't really much to it. It's just kind of like, alright, that's kind of cool. But that's about as much depth you get into this movie. Like I said, there's barely a story. There is no story. It takes a new character, puts them through a series of traps, just like in, I don't know, Saw 3, Saw 4, Saw 6. I said the traps are dull. The character is a brand new character. I know the other Saw films, most of them brought in new characters for the traps. But come on, it's the final film. We have 6 movies to play off of. We don't need another new character. And it was a crappy character. The guy that these traps revolve around apparently wrote a book talking about how he survived a jigsaw trap, but oh no, he didn't really survive a jigsaw trap. He lied about it. He's got publicities on TV shows, and there's no police reports or anything that prove that his story isn't real. Plot hole. Is that a terrible story? No, but it's the final film! Rolling up my sleeves, this is getting serious. About to punch on a wall. Tobin Bell, for some reason, although he died in the 3rd film, makes him like an equal amount of screen time in every movie. Except for this one. He's in one scene. It's the best part of the movie, and it's like less than a minute long. The traps here do nothing. The cool thing about traps in Saw, for the most part, there are exceptions. I'm not saying that this has been a flawless series up until now. Like I said, didn't really like the 2nd film very much. I did not like the 4th film. The 5th and 3rd were just good. They were good for the most part. I thought the 1st and 6th were excellent. So it hasn't been a flawless series. But for the most part, these traps were complex and clever in the sense of not only are you like, oh my gosh, this person might die, but it's testing normal route. Going, this is interesting because I'm also a human being and I can relate. If you can't do this in less than a minute, this person will die. That is it. And also in Saw films, in the ones where it takes one person and puts them in a series of traps, people in danger that they know, you know, like 3rd, 4th, and the 6th, like I've already said, they're not clever about it in this movie. They take this man that wrote this book, and they take his co-workers. That's it. They take his co-workers and put him in danger because they help him lie. That's it. That causes no thinking. I can come up with a better story than that. Like, they slapped this movie together, guys, and it is the final film of a beloved franchise. I know this franchise is a required taste, not everyone likes it, but it's got a big fan base, people. And this movie is crap. They crapped on Saw. They crapped it. They crapped right on it, on the face of Saw. I would say that they raped it, but it's too cliched. It's kind of sad if that is a cliched phrase. Some movies are worse than others. You're gonna see a bad movie every once in a while, but when it's the final film, it has a story that's been building, and it does nothing with this story. It's as if there is no story that's been built in the last 6 films. All depth is absent. All characteristics that made the other films good are absent. There are some okay traps, there are some okay kills, but that is it, people. If you're in it just to see people die, that's weird, but I guess you might like it. If you want to see a good movie, I don't think you're gonna like it. I know it comes down to opinion, but I don't know why you would! And this is coming from someone that, for the most part, has really enjoyed this series. Even if I didn't like the film overall, like 4, and I didn't really like 2, like I've said many times in this video, there was still some stuff in it that I liked. And this movie, barely anything. First 2 traps, okay. Final plot twist, okay. And one last thing that ticked me off about this movie. That we've seen the Saw series. That if you know anything about the Saw series, you know that it features very grotesque killings of people. But I've already talked about the depth and morality factor that I've really favored in this series. Keeps it from just being sinister and evil-spirited. It's just watching people die if there's nothing to it. But there's a kill in this movie that is just harming an innocent person. Nothing else to it. It is harming an innocent person for no reason. And I'm just gonna go out and give it away. They kill the man that wrote the book. The man that wrote the book, they kill his wife. They burn her in an oven. She's on this platform, and because he couldn't do this task where he sticks fish hooks through his nipples, the platform that she's on turned into a giant old school oven, and they cook her. And then they do an up-close image on her where she's like burnt to a crisp and then she dies. That's just mean-spirited, people. And you're like, mean-spirited? You're talking about a series where it's twisting a guy's head around. Yeah, but that guy ran away from a car accident. I'm not saying he deserves it, but I'm saying that there's death. He did something wrong. We're talking about Jigsaw. Jigsaw, the killer. I can't remember what movie it is, but I think there's a quote that goes something like, I don't kill innocent people. I kill bad people, because he's punishing these people for things they did wrong. What is he punishing this woman for? She unknowingly married a guy that lied about a book? Let's bake her? I'm done. This movie doesn't deserve me yelling anymore. I just want to say that I've seen worse movies. Overall, this isn't a complete cinematic travesty, but I'm a fan of the Saw series, so that's why I am this mad. Overall, I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 10. You're probably laughing your butt off, because I have lost my voice due to this film. But I'm just rating it overall. I'm not going to rate it as a Saw film. I'm just going to rate it overall film-wise. It's just a 3 out of 10, and I'm being lenient here. I'm being nice. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. But it is by far the worst Saw film. They slapped this thing together. I am very ticked off. This better not be the final film, because it does not deserve this closure. I'm going to call it closure, although any conclusion that they have was, again, just slapped together. There was absolutely no thought, depth into this movie. They don't care about their fans if this is the crap that they produced. And let's just say, oh, they only had a year to make it. They have made a Saw film every single year. So we know that they can make a Saw film in that span of time. A good Saw film in that span of time. And they probably made this movie in like a week. I'd be surprised even if there was a script for this movie, I'm going to be honest. There's no story. I can't stress that enough. We're talking about a 7. We're talking about the final film in a series, and there's no story. Okay. Terrible film. 3 out of 10. I've already said whether you should see it or not. I don't think you should, but you're going to see it if you're a fan. You're going to be disappointed. Or at least I hope you're disappointed. Weird saying I hope you dislike a movie, but oh my god. This movie doesn't deserve your positive feedback.